Pikmin 4 has been confirmed by Nintendo. There's no hoping about this one, it is happening, which is pretty damn awesome. Pikmin 3 was easily one of my favourite Wii U games. It was one of the very few games on the console that I just couldn't put down. Therefore, it's no surprise that I'm eager to bring you 10 ideas for Pikmin 4, ranging from the modes to Amiibo support. These ideas are in no particular order, and as always, let me know what you'd like to see in Pikmin 4. Number 10. The story. First up, I think we should get some ideas out there for the story, as it could shape the rest of this video. My current idea is as following. Hocate is going down, again, almost like our own planet, and the residents there need to relocate, so Olimar and co decide that perhaps they should inhabit PNF 404, the Pikmin planet. Bear with me, this is going to get deep. So Olimar and his troops, perhaps a new group, probably 4 or 3, head to the Pikmin planet, where they decide they're going to live for over the course of a year, finding out as much as they can about the planet and its resources, and where they could potentially live. As the game progresses, Olimar and co learn about the PNF-4 was once inhabited by a dominant species that ultimately drove the planet into chaos and died out. That species is us. It's hinted at a lot in Pikmin that it is set on a post-apocalyptic Earth, and I'd love for the series to explore that further. This is done by the team gathering artifacts, treasures, and piecing together what happened, pretty much since the dawn of man. See what I mean when I said this could get deep? I think the ultimate ending would be that Olimar and co decide it's best to leave the planet in its current state, as he doesn't want to become the next human race by manipulating the planet's resources. It would be quite a dark ending, but it would end with him searching for another planet elsewhere with a team of Pikmin, which would be an incredibly exciting segue into Pikmin 5. See, I'm already thinking way ahead. This idea came to me when watching the Pikmin animated shorts. All the abandoned man-made materials just made me think, what if we were able to investigate that as Olimar? What if we were able to see what the planet might look like if we were not around? But at the same time, learn about the impacts we had on the Earth. And no, I'm not some green eco-freak, I just think it's a really neat idea. Number 9. Treasures. The story leads me nicely on to the treasures. Similar to Pikmin 2, I'd like to see the treasures return. However, this time they are being used for research and not money. The more items you find, the further you can travel and the more you learn about PNF's history. Because of this, I don't think the time limit factor of the game would return, but instead your progress would be based on what you find. And in some sense, this could mean that every player could make different routes depending on what he or she discovers first. I'd love to see there being hundreds of treasures this time round. Since there's no money target, the amount of treasures you get will mainly just allow you to learn more. So you could rush through the game only picking up the required items, or you could pick up as many items as you could to learn more, making it a real open-ended experience that would allow players to play it how they like. So moving on to point number 8, it's about the world map. As mentioned in my previous point, your discoveries would dictate your progress. Finding specific items would allow you to venture into new areas of the world map. But also, what if the world was all interconnected? Or for the most part anyway. You had to journey to certain safe zones where you could set up camp. After all, Olimar and his crew are trying to find somewhere safe to live. If the maps were quite large, players could venture down different routes, so no gamer could take the exact same path. It would be quite open world, allowing you to adventure wherever and whenever you like. Obviously enemies will hinder how far you can go, but ultimately the choice is yours. It would be like one big sandbox. Number 7. Creating your own character. As I've mentioned, I'd like to see Olimar return, and it's safe to assume that Louis will join, as he's already hinted to still being on the planet. So as a third member of the party, and the one to go with Olimar, I think it should be you. That's right, creating your own little adventurer. I'm still not sure if there should be a fourth character, but if there is, I'd suggest it to be a renowned explorer from Hocate, who once on PNF is revealed to not all be what he is made out to be, and begins to crumble. I think this would be a really interesting character to develop. It would be then that you step into his shoes and assist Olimar as the experienced cadet of the expedition. Number 6. Multiplayer. First up, the multiplayer from Pikmin 3 should return, but be built upon as it was great fun. But the real question is, will there be a cooperative mode in the solo campaign? Whilst I'm still not sure, I don't think the idea should be dismissed. After all, Pikmin 3 really played on the idea of controlling 3 characters, and doing that with a team of your friends would be great fun. discovering the planet's history together, it could work really well, but it could also make the game a hell of a lot easier, so it's a tough call. I think if it wasn't integrated into the actual campaign, there should be another mode where up to 4 players can explore and collect as much treasure as they can in a time limit to unlock more areas. So a watered down story mode, I guess, so we'd have a cooperative and a competitive multiplayer experience. Number 5. Amiibo Support. The NX has to support Amiibo. If not, that's a massive insult to Amiibo fans. So how could Pikmin 4 utilise Amiibo? Well, I have a few ideas on how to utilise them interestingly. Okay, first up is to transfer your avatar data. If you were to create your own explorer, it would be neat to save his or her data to an Amiibo to use at a friend's house. Secondly, and more importantly, I think there should be an Amiibo cavern on the world map. This is a huge cave with many floors that is completely empty, but gets more populated with each Amiibo you scan in. That Amiibo would also appear in that very cavern as a treasure. This would be a little, well, not little, a huge side quest. You could scan in and collect every Amiibo. Each Amiibo would give you some fun facts about that character, in the style of the Pikmin games, which would be charming as hell. The dungeon gets bigger and trickier the more Amiibo you add in. So for myself, who has near on 100 Amiibo, this could be crazy, and the replay value would continue for as long as Nintendo keeps making Amiibo. I should point out though that perhaps the Animal Crossing Amiibo cards wouldn't work, because that'd probably be a little too crazy. And finally, as an Easter egg, I think it would be pretty neat if when you tapped an Amiibo whilst in the game, the Pikmin would hum a little tune from that game's franchise. I think that would be so damn cute. Number 4. Pikmin made contraptions. Following on from my story point, I think it would be really interesting if Pikmin observed man-made objects they found and tried to replicate it themselves, albeit with natural resources. For example, what if they tried to make a little digger as seen in the animated short, out of sticks, and they lifted it up with Pikmin? Or how about a little bottle submarine powered by blue Pikmin swimming, so you could get your other Pikmin to an underwater cavern? It would also be cool to see Olimar and the Pikmin actually use some of the treasures, like maybe a bath sponge to absorb some water out of an area, or a slingshot to launch something afar, or how about using a ruler as a seesaw? Number 3. New Pikmin. As always, we need new Pikmin. However, I'm conscious that there are now technically 7 types, 8 if you include Bulbmin, so it could become a bit hectic by bringing more into the fray. But what if we introduce region-specific Pikmin? For example, orange-like Pikmin that could only survive in the desert as they stay in the sand almost all the time, or really fluffy white Pikmin that will only stay in Arctic areas, or dark Pikmin that can only survive in the night. It would also be really neat if some enemies could be tamed either by Pikmin riding them or just by becoming loyal to Olimar. There could be a risk-reward factor involved. You could tame a Bulborb and have your party ride atop of him, but all of a sudden he decides to revert back to his natural ways and you have to fight him off. It would be a very tense moment riding that Bulborb. Number 2. The Night Shift. I think later into the game, Louie's mysterious personality should develop further, and you should have the option to run a night shift at Olimar, and you have to track down Louie, who you discover has actually found a new race of Pikmin, perhaps rogue dark ones. At first it appears as though he is trying to help you advance on your research, but in the end it could turn out that Louie is actually trying to sabotage the whole plan. It could be a pretty dark twist, but it would be great for character development. I think the night shift would be optional in the sense that you wouldn't have to do it after every day, as that could potentially become tedious. You could choose to hop in whenever you want, and the more you do it, the quicker you would advance the story. And for my final point, it's nothing too exciting, but they need to bring back the Piklopedia. Okay, so probably not the groundbreaking number 1 idea you wanted, but oh man, I love the Piklopedia, and it needs to return. The treasures also need to be documented in a journal, so you can read them back at your own leisure. They could take the Piklopedia a step further by adding a little farm-like area where you could place your favourite enemies and see how they interact with each other. Anyway folks, that's just 10 ideas for Pikmin 4. Hopefully we'll see the game in the near future, and I'd love to see some of these ideas come to life. Let me know what you think and also what you'd like to see in Pikmin 4. You've been watching Keen TV, and thank you for tuning in.